Sparks.
Hello, Ewan.
Happy, happy, happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you.
How are you feeling? How we doing? What's going on in your life, Cassandra Sparks?
Oh, well, it's May. Can you believe it's May already? Wow.
I don't
Um,
think I want to
mhm.
believe that it's May already. Actually, earlier on in the week, I had a conversation with somebody who messaged me and said Happy Wednesday. And I was like, I think it's Tuesday. And he said, no, it's definitely Wednesday. And we went back and forward on this for a couple of text messages before I realized that it was indeed Wednesday.
Well, that
That
tells
has
us a
been
lot about how
the
your week has been.
correct. There are simply not enough hours in the day, but the hour that
Oh,
I do value the most is this one.
oh, I know. This is great. And you
I
know
am
what
so
we're
happy
going to
to
do
see you.
today?
Tell
We're
me
going to talk about,
everything and our audience.
yeah, we're going to talk about managing up. When you find yourself
Mhm.
editing in meetings so you don't sound difficult or too much, that's not really managing up. It's you playing small.
Right. I couldn't
Yeah,
agree more. And that's usually where influence gets lost before the conversations even start. So that is where we're going to start today.
absolutely. Let's get into it then. Now, last week we talked a little bit about showing up and presence. And the Friday Courage
Mhm.
Challenge that we posed was focusing less on what you're going to say and more on how you show up.
I love it. Do you know, I've been thinking a lot about this week because I'm very lucky. I have some fantastic clients, and
Hmm.
I think anybody that knows you and Richie Lang knows that he's anything but inauthentic. I am extremely real most of the time, and
Hmm.
I think that the thing that I've noticed the most about how I show up with my clients is that I am just maybe sometimes to a fault too down to earth and friendly, and I really have this thing about making sure that everybody knows that I'm truly here for them,
Hmm.
but I'm also here to call them out as well when things are a little bit daft or silly, or Scottish word alert, everybody. If someone's being a bit of an idiot, have you heard this word before, Cassandra?
How do we spell it?
Ejit. Egypt.
Idiot.
I hope I got that right. I think it is. I think I spelled that correctly. Egypt means just a bit daft, a bit
Okay,
silly. It's
sure.
actually a feminine word, but I've never used it with gendered, with a sense of genderedness attached to
Mm-hmm,
it.
hmm.
Yeah, Egypt is just like, oh, you're being silly. Don't be an
Yes.
Egypt. You'll be
Okay.
surprised to hear that I get called this quite a lot by my family in Scotland. So, yeah, shout out to you. Anyway, if a decision's been made in a call and I'm like, that's a little bit silly, I feel like I've got this. I feel like this week I've kind of given myself the permission to show up as my authentic self and go, I think that's a little bit silly. Hang on a second. Let's talk about this. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that was how I kind of used my Friday Courage challenge this week. How about you?
That's brilliant. I think I similarly show up with authenticity. That's how I roll.
You
That's
sure
what I
do.
do. And I think that's one of the reasons why we get along so well is we're just ourself. And that's why we have this hell yeah catchphrase on our podcast and all these funny little things that we do. This past week, though, when I think about presence, we had TEDx Charleston in
Mm.
town. And I was in the audience and had the opportunity to chat with several speakers afterward at the after party. And
Oh, is it like the
oh no, it
ever
was
been
really
to a
great.
TED conference or a TEDx conference? I'm very jealous.
Yes, it's great. Really fantastic group of speakers and great ideas ranging from medicine and health to suicide awareness
Oh.
and everything in between. And I connected with a couple of speakers and did a lot of networking that night, that evening. And I was all about just making that person that I was speaking with feel like they were the star that they are, right? Because they just did this big, amazing thing on stage. They stood on this red dot, they spoke for 10 minutes, and gave a great talk. So I was encouraging to them and asked them about their inspiration, and did a little bit less talking and a little bit more nonverbal behavior of like admiring them and revering them for
Mm.
what they did, because I, as a professional speaker, know that not everyone feels comfortable when they are speaking in front of hundreds of people. And so I really enjoyed those
Mhm.
conversations and showed up in a space where it really wasn't about me, it was about celebrating them.
I love that. And I think that is what makes you you, Cassandra Sparks, right? It's that ability to make people feel like they are at the center of your universe, even if it's just in that little moment, that little interaction. That's why we love you.
So kind. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Get your hanky out. Um, let's I'm feeling very generous in my compliments. What can I say? I feel like you deserve it. Um,
Yes.
okay. Should we get
So
into it?
let's. Now, what all that reminded me of is it's wild what shifts when you're not rushing to prove a point or like have your own
Mm,
agenda in mind. And when you manage up, it feels a little bit different because it's actually your reputation on the line, not just the idea that you're sharing. Because presence is one thing when you're leading down or when you're leading across, but when you're leading
mhm,
up, that's where people hesitate.
mhm.
So let's get into this. Today, we're talking about managing up, how to communicate with leaders in a way that lands. So, to bring it to perspective, your ideas, even if you give pushback, without feeling like you're overstepping or being labeled as difficult. That's the goal.
Right. I think that that is a big one, right? For a lot of new leaders, is this
Yeah.
ability to be able to give that pushback
Hmm.
to the people above you without being seen as moody or the
Right.
problem child of the team, right? Because most
Mhm.
leaders, they know what they want to say. It's just that they don't necessarily know how to say it when they receive that pushback or they receive that downward pressure from above.
Absolutely. And if we're being honest, people are not holding back because they don't have brilliant ideas. They do. They're holding back because they're doing the maths in their head and they're asking themselves, is this worth the risk of how I will be perceived?
I agree. Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I'm excited to talk about this.
yes. So, folks, welcome to Sparks Squared Speakeasy, the leadership conversation that you weren't meant to overhear.
Served up like a casual pup chat for our leaders.
That's right. I'm Cassandra Sparks, your go to gal for sparking authentic motivation and bold AF moves.
And I am Ewan, the founder of Figure Learning, where we make workplace learning actually work for the workplace and, of course, fun. Why not? Right?
Yay! So, friends, pull up a chair. This is real, honest talk about leadership in real life.
All right. Are you ready? Let's manage up. Let's
Definitely.
get into it.
Definitely. The first thing we want to chat about today, as we were planning all this out, was the idea of saying it versus landing it.
Yeah.
So, when we start here, sometimes when we think about managing up, people might think about what you say, getting your point across, making sure that it's clear, making a strong argument, and backing it up.
Absolutely. But that really is only half of the equation, right? Because you can say the right thing, but you still have it land completely wrong. Lead balloon.
Exactly. I've been spending a lot of time in rooms with leaders, facilitating, coaching, and observing them. And this shows up constantly in my work with Dale Carnegie and in my work with my own business. Some people come in prepared with really thoughtful, great ideas and then deliver them in a way that immediately creates resistance.
Mm. And it's funny how that resistance happens, right? Because it feels like pushback instead of a sense of collegiate partnership with your audience or with your team. Yeah.
Absolutely. You're right. And here's where things can go topsy turvy. A leader might think, okay, I need to push harder, be more direct, be more forceful.
Mm.
Here's the thing, if force worked, we'd all just shout our way into promotions.
Hmm. Right? That is so true. I wish that that worked because I am always the loudest person in the room.
I know, you and I know how to use our voice. If only it was that kind of magic.
It's all from the diaphragm, Cassandra, right? You're going to be this
It
loud
is.
all the time. Protect the vocal cords. Let the diaphragm do all the work.
That's right. It's much bigger muscle.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So I hear.
Managing up
Not
isn't,
sure where
in
your
fact,
mind went.
about, yeah.
Moving on, Cassandra. This is a family show. Is it a family show? Have we
No,
decided that yet?
no,
No, good.
no. Managing up
As per
isn't
you.
actually about pushing harder. It's about positioning your message so it can be received. Are you still giggling over there?
No, continue. No.
Okay.
Um, Moving on from muscles to pushing harder, let's talk
Yes.
about practice. So, what does that look like in
Mhm.
practice? I ask
Mhm.
you, Cassandra. What does it look like when it comes to managing up?
Well, I've seen this show up in a couple of different ways. Well, many ways, but one that comes to mind is the difference between this isn't going to work versus I'd like to offer another perspective on how this might play out. This isn't going to work versus can I offer another perspective about how this might play out? Same idea, and it gets a completely different reaction depending on how it's presented.
Yeah, I love that, and I think that that's the knee-jerk reaction for a lot of people that are managing up in in a situation of pressure, downward pressure, or
Mhm,
resistance from above, is that
mhm.
they want to soften their point. They want to maybe cow down or bow down to the pressure of what's coming from above or coming from the audience. So it's not really about softening the point, really. It's about just reframing it, I suppose.
Absolutely. Keep your conviction and
Mm,
deliver it in a way that invites conversation instead of shutting conversation down. One of
mhm.
my favorite things that I think about when I hear the phrase or present the phrase inviting conversation instead of shutting it down is using the word and in your sentences as a connector instead of the word but.
Mhm.
We can say, I hear what you're saying and I have another opinion. That's very different than and here I hear what you're saying, but that's wrong.
Yeah.
But just cancels out the entire first part of the sentence and it
Yeah.
shuts down conversation. It shuts down collaboration and dialogue and partnership.
I couldn't agree more. And I think that it makes everybody else in the room like get into defense mode. Like you get your hackles up,
Yes.
right? When you
Yes.
hear it. Or everybody else that's watching it in the team meeting does that sharp inhale of breath. It goes, oh, fight, 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 fight.
That's right. That's right. So if your leader only ever hears you in agreement, that's you not being easy to work with. It's actually you putting on a faux facade that everything's
Mhm.
fine and you're making yourself invisible, which is the antithesis of what we encourage our clients to do at work. We want our clients to feel to own the room, to feel proud, to feel heard, to feel seen, and you can't do that if you as a team member or a leader refuse to have a conversation that could have
Mhm.
a diametric opinion in it.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that's something we talk about a lot on this podcast is about how do leaders allow for that creativity and allow for those
Mhm.
perspectives and those opinions to be shared. Um, and I think that when it comes to kind of flipping it on his head and being the person who is managing up to a leader who is giving you that resistance, I
Mhm.
definitely feel like there's takes two to tango, right?
Mhm.
Leaders that are leading are managing up have to recognize that how we position and how we frame our perspective, our conviction, as you put it,
Mhm.
is important, but also how are leaders allowing for that environment and that space to be created where their team do feel like they're not having to be the invisible voice in the room. They're
Mhm.
able to share and open up without it being shot down.
That's right. So the bold take here, in my opinion, is this. If you find a message that you're sharing is creating resistance, it's not because you were bold and spoke up. It's because of how
Mhm.
that message landed and is being perceived. And there are ways that you can adjust your delivery to make it land and have conviction and keep your authority all in one beautiful package wrapped in a bow.
Love that. Yeah, you're
Mhm.
absolutely right.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah,
So let's talk a little bit more then about this. Let's dive a little bit deeper into it because I think it's a really
mhm.
important topic for leaders.
Absolutely. So here's where this can get real because it's one thing to know how to say it, it's another to actually practice and do it in the moment. Because in the moment, emotions can be running high. You could be having a little bit of your heart going pitter patter, which I like to reframe as your heart's giving you applause.
Oh, I
And
love that.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
Oh, can I tell you
It's
something?
so yeah.
I love that concept of reframing our body's emotions. Can I share something that's completely off topic and totally on a tangent?
Yes, yes, and yes. Always.
Okay, so I know that there are many spa professionals in my network that maybe are watching this. So you may have heard this already, but a spa manager once taught me or told me that when you're getting a massage, do you know how you
Mhm,
fall asleep, right?
mhm.
So she said that snores from their client, it's like a round of applause, and
Yeah.
drooling is a standing ovation. How good is that? Like if you can get them to fall asleep, that's great. But if you
Mhm.
can get them to snore like proper deep sleep, round of applause. Drools on the floor, standing ovation. What a great way to reframe such an awful part of your job. Anyway, there you go.
I like that a lot. I do. That's really clever,
Right.
and
The next time
eh
you're having a massage, Cassandra, I want you to remember that.
I
That instead of going,
will.
oh, round of applause.
Yes. Yes. And so I use that heart your heart is giving you applause metaphor or analogy when I'm working with speaking clients whose hearts race when they're about to go
Mm,
on stage or when they're speaking and remind them it's just your body giving you applause. It's
hmm.
okay.
Absolutely.
So in the moment, emotions are running high, you're having a physiological reaction because you disagree, you care, and the stakes are high. All of those things are true.
Yeah. And that's when tone shifts without
Mhm.
you really even realizing it, right?
Mhm.
That
Yes.
moment when everything kind of the room dynamic goes "Erp" on its head,
Mm.
and now you're caught by surprise.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. We tend to speak faster in those moments. Our body positions can become more intense, perhaps unknowingly, where we
Mhm,
might take a closed body position. We might lean back and feel a bit more passive or look more closed off. Or you might get a forward lean that is meant to be engaging, but because of the facial expression and the tone, it comes off as aggressive. So sometimes that passion can translate as tension.
absolutely, and I think that that's when the person speaking or the person that you're speaking to
Mhm.
isn't really listening to your idea anymore.
Yeah.
Instead, they're really just reacting to the energy you're giving off, and I think that from my personal experience, I've been in that situation where I have responded to pressure or pushback in that way, where my
Mhm.
entire body has physiologically shifted,
Mhm.
and it's then made everybody think that what I was saying was being defensive or it was being intense, and that was far from what I was trying to do, but everything else about me to everybody else seemed that way.
Yes. I appreciate you sharing that. I think we've all had moments like that where we can call out an example of, boy, that did not come across the way I meant it to,
Yeah.
whether it's professionally or personally.
Mhm.
And that's when presence comes in. That's when putting together the paralanguage, or the way that we use our voice and the way that we use our body, all come together.
Mhm.
It's not just about your words, it's about your entire state and how those
Yeah.
things flow.
I definitely I want us to explore that a little bit more, because I really think that that is the key tool that I think as a leader we should all possess, is what should we do in that moment when the kind of mist descends, the red mist descends, we've kind
Mhm.
of lost all control over what it was that we initially were trying to say. I would love to kind of explore that more. So, what do you think then, as a professional boldness coach who is talking to your clients on a daily basis about presence and how to overcome the emotions when you're public speaking or you're in
Mhm.
a place of power? What
Mhm.
would you say is the thing that a leader should do in that moment to bring it all
Mhm.
back down to earth and get the most out of it?
Grounding is key. Before you speak, take a pause, because pauses are powerful. And try to be aware of what's happening on your face, right? A pause with a scowl is different than a pause where you're reflecting, where you look like you're thinking, right? And are being thoughtful. So take that pause and ask yourself, am I trying to prove something, or am I helping to move something forward?
Hmm. I I think that that has to be the podcast episode's hell yeah moment. Can I get a hell yeah?
Hell yeah.
Oh, there it was. There it was. I heard it. It was there. It was there. I am so I am genuinely impressed by that point, because I just feel like that's where my downfall always lies, is that I get into this like almost cyclical
Mhm,
emotion of trying to prove that I'm trying I'm trying my hardest to make my point here, but now I feel like I'm in defense mode. So now my words aren't coming out the way I want them to come out, and I'm getting
mhm,
frustrated by that fact. So now that I'm frustrated by the fact I can't get my point across, now my body's tensed up, and now my body's tensed up, my face is all scrunched, and I look like I'm really, really angry, and I'm not. I'm just I've got myself down this rabbit hole, and I don't quite know how to get back to the surface again. And I
mhm,
love that concept of grounding yourself.
mhm,
And I think that in the times that I have been in that situation where I've been challenged or I've perceived challenge from my leaders, against my perspective or my opinion or whatever it might be, I I feel like that was where I failed, was that I didn't just pause
mhm,
and take a breath, let them respond, hear their words, hear their position, and then come back with a well formulated rebuttal, not to be defensive or to prove my point, but just to understand each other's positions better. I really appreciate you calling that out, because I think that that is the key.
You're welcome. And I think you just said something so powerful in the way that you ground yourself in those moments. You take a breath, kind of like reposition your body, make sure your face is saying the right things. And then come back with a comment. You know, we teach in Dale Carnegie how to disagree agreeably, and there's a formula for it. There's ways to come back in a respectful, kind way and
Hmm.
keep the conversation moving forward so that both people are heard. It's really a very powerful exercise and a very
Hmm.
powerful thing to know, because when one person's trying to win the point, another one comes in trying to, you know, move the conversation toward the end goal,
Mhm.
who do you think is they're going to listen to? Are they going to listen to the person
Uh,
that's being like really aggressive and repetitive, or are they going to listen to the person that's trying to usher things forward?
I think that that's a really amazing point. And I think every time, eventually, once you cut through the noise of the first example, I think the second person is the one who ultimately gets listened to, right?
Yes. It is. It's totally the second one every time because people want to feel safe and heard in their work environment. So the
Mhm.
bold take for us in this round of our pub chat is your passion is not the problem. Your passion and that fire in you, that boldness is a wonderful thing. What is the challenge is how you deliver something under pressure.
Mhm.
And there's ways to manage all of those things.
Mhm. That is it's a big one. Yeah, absolutely
Mhm,
agree with that. Thank you for sharing it.
mhm. Absolutely. So it's not again, it's not about holding back, it's how you channel that energy.
Right. And I think it's about connecting both of these things, right? It's okay to be passionate. It's okay
Yeah.
to be hyped up, and it's okay to have a burning fire in your belly about something
Mhm,
or someone or a concept or an idea or a challenge. But it's not about saying less so that that doesn't come out. It's about being more agreeable and understanding that your position, your passion is not the only position and not the only passion in the room. And
mhm.
we need to hear those other positions, those other passions to better formulate our position and our passion into something that's going to keep moving us forward, like you say.
Brilliant. Brilliant. What I hear you saying, Ewan, is it's really about how you position your message with the words that you choose. It's about regulating our presence through grounding and delivering it in a way that people can and want to receive it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. Mm.
Mm, mm.
So, at the end of the day, your leader is not asking, did they say it perfectly? They're asking, can I hear this person? Do I trust where they're coming from?
Absolutely. All right. I love that. I think before we close the Speakeasy doors, we need to do our Friday Courage Challenge.
Mhm,
So I think, given what we've spoken about today, in our next conversations with a leader, I think, and especially one where they have a different perspective from
mhm.
us, I think your challenge is don't hold back on your point. Don't be the invisible person. Instead, make your point, agree disagree agreeably.
That's
I love
right.
that phrase that you used.
Mhm.
But think about positioning your message, regulating that presence by grounding. Think about how you're going to present your point. Don't hold back. That's your challenge for this week.
That is powerful. Pause, ground yourself, and ask before you respond, how can I position this so it moves the conversation forward?
Absolutely. Because when your message is grounded and intentional,
It's not difficult. It doesn't come across as difficult. It comes across as leadership.
yes, it does. Fantastic. Well, and if you out there listening to this want to take your workplace learning from bland to brilliant, I encourage you to please follow Figary Learning by searching Figary Learning, spelled Figary, and follow me, Ewan Ricciolaing, which is spelled, are you ready?
Yes.
Ewanricciolaing. Hope you kept
That,
up. If you didn't,
whew,
Google it.
that was record time. I'm impressed.
Thanks. Been practicing all week.
And when you want to find out more about how I empower teams and individuals to unleash their hidden firepower to live boldly and authentically, just search Cassandra Sparks YOU across all the socials and you'll find me there.
And of course, our very own fun shop. Own the room, tell your story. This is a great workshop, perfect for teams, where you build your presence, confidence, and we even teach you some really amazing ways of telling stories that actually land. So even if you don't use it at work, you will be the talk of the next dinner party that you attend or TED Talk conference. There you go.
That's right. Yeah, and our fun shop has a lot of these principles in it, is how do we communicate in a way that is powerful and does not create a dichotomy or, you know,
Tension, yeah, friction.
tension, yeah, pressure. So it's definitely part of it. Folks, if this conversation sparks something for you, share it with someone who needs a seat at our table.
We will see you all back here. No, we won't. Oh, we're
Oh, you're
close. It
right.
was close. I nearly messed up. We will not see you all back here next
No.
Friday. We are taking the week off. Cassandra
Mhm.
Sparks is going to go and she's heading off to the National Ice Skating Championships. She's going to be up for winning the gold medal for most sequined ice skater. No, is that not? That's not it.
That I
Okay,
wish
she's
that
going to
was
do some
that sounds
great work with some great
amazing.
clients.
That sounds amazing.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
She's off being wonderful and spectacular in her own inimitable way. So
Mhm.
we'll see you in 2 weeks' time for the same
Mhm.
speakeasy and, of course, the same sparks. Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.